The internet is on fire tonight with whispers that feel more like screams. Because the story coming out of Georgia's prison system is the kind that shakes not just a family, but an empire. King Harris, the brash, outspoken son of rap, icon T.I., and reality star Tiny, has reportedly been dragged into the darkest nightmare of all, an ambush inside prison so brutal, so vicious, that insiders are already using one chilling word: murder. Picture it. The lights flicker. Cameras mysteriously cut out. Guards look away. And when they turn back, King Harris is lying broken on the cold concrete floor. His body battered by fists and boots, his blood staining the block. By the time he's rushed to the infirmary, rumors are already flying that he may not survive. But the story doesn't end there, because seconds before slipping out of consciousness, sources claim King gasped, "Tell my pops I know who did it." And that's where this saga explodes into chaos. Because while his son clings to life, T.I., the King of the South himself, is reportedly on his knees, begging judges, begging politicians, even calling in enemies he swore he'd never speak to again. The man who once preached about toughness, control, and power is now reduced to a desperate father pleading to save his child. But the question tearing the internet apart is this: was King Harris attacked because of arrogance, because of his last name, or because he uncovered secrets that could burn the Harris empire to the ground? The nightmare began the moment King Harris stepped through those prison gates. Insiders say he walked in with his chest out, chin high, and the same cocky swagger he'd flashed on Instagram Lives. But behind bars, none of that mattered. Fame doesn't buy respect. In fact, it paints a target so big you can't hide it. Former inmates described it best: when a celebrity's kid walks in, it's like throwing raw meat to wolves. They're either going to test you, use you, or break you. And King, at just 19, was already set up for disaster. Reports claim it started with a feud over contraband. Word spread that King's name ended up in a prison ledger and IOU tied to a failed deal. Promises were made, product didn't arrive, and in prison, debts aren't forgiven. They're collected in blood. Then came the glitch. Surveillance cameras in his block allegedly went dark for 12 minutes. Just enough time for fists, boots, and metal trays to rain down. By the time the feed returned, chaos was already unfolding, and King was left in a pool of his own blood, dragged out half-conscious. He reportedly gasped, "Tell my pops I know who did it." Those words detonated online. Was he pointing at a rival inmate? Or was this bigger? Was he hinting at an attack ordered from outside, tied to his father's past? Suddenly, speculation spread that this wasn't just a prison brawl. This was a setup. Meanwhile, T.I. received the call that shattered his world. Insiders say he erupted in rage before collapsing in tears. The man who built an empire on toughness was reportedly on the phone with every politician, every lawyer, even old street connections, begging for protection. Tiny, devastated, allegedly screamed at him, "This is your fault. You pushed him into this." Their marriage, once a love and hip-hop staple of strength, cracked under the weight of blame. Friends close to the family described shouting matches, sleepless nights, and phone calls that went unanswered because even allies didn't want to get dragged into the storm. And then the first leak hit the blogs. A muffled recording, allegedly from inside the infirmary, captured King's voice. Weak, trembling, barely audible. It ain't random. They sent a message. The clip spread like wildfire. Fans were horrified. Critics sneered. Memes mocked him as Instagram gangster meets prison reality. But a darker theory spread. If this was a message, who was it meant for? Social media exploded. On Twitter, hashtags #Pry4King and #HarrisFamilyDownfall trended back to back. TikTok detectives dug up old clips of King's meltdowns, splicing them next to ICU rumors. One viral edit showed T.I. warning King on Instagram Live, "Jail is waiting on you," next to King bloodied in a hospital bed. The caption read, "Father's prophecy fulfilled." Millions watched. Millions argued. Was this karma or a conspiracy? And then came the betrayal that flipped everything. A blurry contraband video leaked online. It showed King arguing with inmates before the ambush. In the grainy audio, one line cuts through clear as day. "This ain't mine, it's my daddy's business." Those 9 words sent the internet into meltdown. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. Was King dragged into prison politics because of debts or enemies tied to T? Did his own loose lips spark the ambush? Prosecutors wasted no time circling. Rumors swirled that old files on T.I. were being dusted off, ready to be reopened. Headlines blared. Did King Harris incriminate his father? T.I., sources say, went ballistic. In one closed-door meeting, he allegedly slammed his fist on a table and shouted, "Y'all better bury that footage before it buries us." For the first time, the King of the South looked cornered, and the public relished it. Blogs fanned the flames. One wrote, "The sins of the father paid in blood by the son." Another countered, "This isn't about arrogance. This is about enemies sending a message through his child." Fans were split down the middle. Some mocked King as a spoiled kid humbled by reality. Others painted him as a victim of systemic corruption, targeted for secrets he wasn't even old enough to understand. Inside the Harris household, it was chaos. Tiny reportedly broke down in tears, begging T.I. to stop pulling strings before things escalated further. But he couldn't stop. He called in every favor, every connection. The more he moved, the more desperate he looked. And desperation only made enemies hungrier. As one Atlanta insider put it, T.I. shining a spotlight on his son makes him a bigger target inside. In prison, attention is deadly. Meanwhile, King's condition remained shrouded in mystery. Some reports claimed he was stable. Others whispered he was unresponsive. Tabloids exaggerated, claiming he was already gone. One anonymous source even insisted. Doctors said he might not make it through the night. None of it was confirmed, but the speculation only fed the frenzy. Then came the celebrity reactions. Cardi B tweeted, "Prayers for that boy. Jail ain't no place for him." Within minutes, 50 Cent posted a shady Instagram meme, "When you flex for the gram, but the yard don't care." Nicki Minaj dropped a cryptic story. "Some kings ain't really kings. Be careful who you bow to." Fans exploded, turning the situation into a proxy war between celebrity camps. But the ugliest betrayal came from within. A former friend of King's posted alleged DMs showing King bragging just days before the ambush. "I run this block. They know my last name," a friend captioned it. And look how it ended. The post went viral, painting King not as a victim, but as a loudmouth who invited disaster. And then, the darkest twist yet. A hacker group claimed they had obtained the full ambush footage, Jane, cut, uncensored, and teased its release with one chilling message. King wasn't the only target. The internet froze. If King wasn't the only target, who else was in the crosshairs? Was this about silencing him, more about dragging his father's entire empire into the fire? The cliffhanger was deafening. Millions sat refreshing feeds, desperate for the next leak. The Harris family, once reality TV royalty, was now trapped in a saga of blood, betrayal, and secrets that no one could escape. And with hackers promising the truth was coming, the world braced itself for the kind of revelation that could shatter the Harris' name forever. The internet was on edge. A hacker group had teased the unthinkable. The full, uncut footage of King Harris's prison ambush. For hours, timelines froze in suspense. Then, at 3:07 a.m., it dropped. The grainy, horrifying video showed King being cornered by at least 6 inmates. Voices screamed, fists flew, and King's desperate cries echoed. "This ain't me. It's my daddy's business." Blood smeared the walls as guards' footsteps thundered in the distance, too late to stop the carnage. The clip cut abruptly just as a shadowed figure leaned in and whispered something chilling into King's ear. The internet erupted. TikTok detectives looped the footage, slowing it down, enhancing the audio, trying to decipher the whisper. Theories exploded. Some swore the voice said, "Message sent." Others believed it was a name someone tied directly to T.I.'s old street enemies. Within hours, hashtags like #message sent and #whoorderedit trended worldwide. The fallout was nuclear. Fans demanded answers. Was this just prison politics, or was King being used as collateral in a decades-old feud? And while the world speculated, the Harris family crumbled. Tiny reportedly collapsed when she saw the footage. T.I., raging, stormed out of a lawyer's office shouting, "This ain't about King, it's about me." Insiders claimed he believed the ambush was payback for debts buried in his past. Suddenly, the attack wasn't about King Harris at all. It was about dismantling T.I.'s empire, one bloody message at a time. One bloody message at a time. But then came the betrayal that cut deepest. A leaked recording surfaced of an alleged phone call between a guard and an anonymous outside contact. The guard's voice, casual and cold, said, "We let it happen. He needed to be humbled. The cameras went out just like you asked." The world gasped. If true, that meant the ambush wasn't negligence, it was sanctioned. Guards looked away. Someone pulled strings. And King Harris was left to bleed as part of a bigger game. Social media went ballistic. Memes mocked the Harris family. One viral tweet read, "T.I. wrote books on survival. Can't even save his own blood." Others defended him, claiming the system was targeting the family. Fans turned on each other, entire fan bases splitting into factions. Instagram lives turned into battlegrounds. YouTubers churned out conspiracy breakdowns by the minute. The Harris name wasn't just trending, it was burning. Celebrities piled in. Boosie went live shaking his head. "That boy ain't built for that life. I told y'all." Meek Mill tweeted cryptically, "The system love using our kids as pawns." 50 Cent, always one to stir the pot, posted a photo of himself eating popcorn with the caption, "You can't make this up." Every comment poured gasoline on an already blazing inferno. And while the internet laughed, King's condition worsened. Leaked hospital notes, allegedly from a nurse, suggested he had slipped into a coma. Screenshots showed phrases like unresponsive and critical condition. Doctors refused to confirm, but the leak was enough to send fans spiraling. #IsKingDead shot to the top of Twitter. Blogs screamed headlines like "King Harris clinging to life and murder in prison." The Harris family, already fractured, being forced to watch their son's suffering unfold in real time across the world. But the darkest twist came from inside the Harris circle. A former associate of T.I., someone once close enough to know family secrets, went live, claiming the ambush wasn't random at all. "I knew this was coming," the associate alleged. "He made enemies years ago. And King, he's paying the price. They don't want King, they want T.I." The live ended abruptly, but not before the associate dropped one final bomb. "This ain't over. They're coming for more." Theories spiraled. Some believed it was connected to T.I.'s old legal battles. Others whispered about unresolved feuds, debts unpaid, or even secrets tied to past scandals. Whatever the truth, one thing was clear. King Harris was no longer just a troubled celebrity kid. He was the center of a blood-soaked conspiracy with tentacles reaching far beyond prison walls. Meanwhile, Tiny's pain boiled over. Sources close to her said she confronted T.I. in a hotel lobby, screaming, "Your pride put him in there. Your enemies put him in that bed." Witnesses described T.I. snapping back. "He wanted to be grown. I told him jail was waiting." The shouting match ended with Tiny storming off in tears, leaving the family visibly split while their son lay fighting for his life. And then another leak detonated. A voicemail, allegedly left by King just hours before the ambush, surfaced online. His voice urgent and scared. "Mom, if something happens to me, it's because of Dad's past. Don't let them bury me in here." The internet froze. If real, the message confirmed what everyone feared, that King believed his father's enemies were behind it all. The Harris dynasty unraveled in front of millions. Blogs wrote, "The sins of the father catch the son." Fans dissected every lyric T.I. ever wrote, pulling up lines about enemies, betrayal, and revenge, connecting them back to King's nightmare. One viral TikTok claimed T.I. wrapped his son's fate years ago. Go back and listen, it's all there. Millions watched. Millions believed. And as the firestorm grew, another insider leak hit. Prosecutors were reportedly reviewing the ambush footage not just as evidence of prison violence, but as leverage against T.I. Rumors swirled, they wanted to drag him back into court, using King's whispered line, "It's my daddy's business," as their weapon. Suddenly, the ambush wasn't just about King's survival. It was about whether T.I.'s entire empire would survive the fallout. But the hacker group wasn't done. Days after dropping the ambush footage, they returned with a teaser that shook the internet to its core. A still frame showing a hooded inmate leaning over King's bloodied body. The caption read, "The whisper revealed everything. Full audio dropping soon." The world erupted in panic. What had that inmate whispered? Was it a name? A threat? A confession? Fans speculated it could tie back to powerful figures, rival crews, or even dirty officials. If the hackers really had that audio, it could blow the lid off the entire Harris empire, and so the cliffhanger grew unbearable. King Harris clinging to life in ICU, T.I. raging against enemies past and present, Tiny breaking under the weight of fear and betrayal, and the world holding its breath, waiting for the whisper that could either save or destroy one of hip-hop's most notorious dynasties. The question was no longer if King Harris would survive. It was who wanted him dead and why. The internet didn't sleep. Everyone waited, refreshing feeds, praying, or panicking over what the hacker group would unleash. At 11:59 p.m., the drop hit. The audio file was only 30 seconds long, but it was enough to send shockwaves through the culture. In the uncut clip, as King lay battered on the ground, a shadowed inmate leaned in close. The whisper was faint but chilling. "This ain't about you. Your daddy's debt just came due." The world froze. That one sentence flipped the narrative on its head. This wasn't just a prison fight. This was a hit, orchestrated as revenge for T.I.'s past. Fans, journalists, and even celebrities couldn't contain themselves. Twitter threads exploded with theories. Was it about old street beef? Burned bridges in the industry? Or something darker tied to the long-whispered scandals surrounding the Harris empire? Suddenly, King Harris wasn't just a victim. He was collateral damage in a generational war. The fallout was immediate. Blogs plastered headlines, "T.I.'s past comes back to haunt his son." YouTube flooded with breakdowns, each claiming to know the truth behind the debt. Some dug into T.I.'s old federal cases. Others pointed to long-denied trafficking allegations. TikTok detectives spliced old interviews where rivals warned, "T.I. gon' pay one day," matching them with King's whisper of doom. Millions watched, millions speculated, and the Harris empire cracked louder than ever. Inside the hospital, tensions erupted. Tiny, hysterical, reportedly begged T.I. to step back. "You can't fight this with lawyers. You can't fix this with money," she cried. Insiders claimed T.I., trembling with fury, shouted back, "If they want me, let them come for me. But they can't have my son." The shouting was so loud, nurses allegedly had to intervene. The cracks in their marriage, once hidden behind reality TV glamour, were now public knowledge, exposed under the harsh glare of scandal. But the betrayals weren't over. A former Harris associate went live, claiming to have receipts that proved the debt tied back to T.I.'s music empire. "Y'all think it's about the streets?" he said, eyes wide, voice shaking. "Nah, it's bigger. It's business, contracts, dirty deals. They're using King to remind Tip what happens when you cross the wrong people." Before he could say more, the live cut off. Viewers were left stunned, replaying every word. Then came the most devastating leak yet. Screenshots of alleged prosecutor notes. One chilling line read, "King Harris's statement implicates potential family involvement. Recommend review of prior sealed cases." Whether real or fabricated, the damage was done. The public believed it. Overnight, I wasn't just a father begging for his son's life. He was painted as a target in an active conspiracy with his own legacy at stake. Social media turned savage. One viral meme showed a chessboard with King as a pawn, T.I. as a king. And the caption, "The pawn always falls first." Another tweet with over 500,000 likes read, "They don't want King. They want the empire. And they'll burn him alive to get it." Fans argued endlessly. Was T.I. guilty of past sins? Or was he being framed? Either way, King Harris was paying the ultimate price. And then another leak detonated. A secret recording allegedly smuggled out of a prosecutor's office captured a voice claiming, "We'll bury him if his daddy doesn't cooperate." If true, it meant King's survival hinged not on doctors, but on whether T.I. bent to pressure. Was this extortion disguised as justice? Or was the Harris family caught in a web too tangled to escape? Meanwhile, King's health spiraled. Anonymous insiders whispered he had briefly regained consciousness only to break down sobbing, crying out, "Don't let them kill me. Don't let them kill Dad." The alleged quote spread like wildfire, painting King not as arrogant, but as terrified. A boy dragged into a war far bigger than him. Fans who mocked him before now flooded timelines with sympathy, begging for his release. Begging for his release. But sympathy wasn't enough to stop the avalanche. Celebrities weighed in with explosive takes. Rick Ross posted, "This what happens when old enemies see weakness." Kanye West tweeted, "Industry sacrifices look different when the kids get caught in the fire." Even Drake slipped in a cryptic bar on IG Live. Family feuds don't end, they multiply. Every reaction poured more gasoline onto an inferno spiraling out of control. The Harris dynasty was collapsing in real time. Tiny's Instagram story, a black screen with the words, "Pray for my baby," went viral. T.I.'s cryptic post, "A king will bleed before he bows," sent fans into a frenzy. But then came the most shocking betrayal yet. An anonymous hacker leaked an alleged private message from T.I. to an unnamed politician. The words, "Name your price. Just get my son out alive." That single leak destroyed the image of T.I. as untouchable. The internet mocked him mercilessly. The king of the South reduced to begging politicians like a pawn. One tweet read, "But for others, it revealed a deeper truth. T.I. was willing to sacrifice everything, his pride, his power, his reputation, to save his child." And still, the chaos grew darker. The hacker group returned one last time, posting a cryptic message. "The Harris Empire has one more secret. Dropping soon. Receipts don't lie." Attached was a blurred image of what looked like sealed court documents stamped with T.I.'s name. The world gasped. Was this the final nail? Would the receipts prove everything or expose something no one was ready for? By now, the question wasn't whether King Harris would survive prison. It was whether the Harris family could survive the truth. Fans begged for updates. Conspiracy channels posted breakdowns by the hour. And every corner of the internet pulsed with one terrifying question. Was King Harris's blood the price of secrets? Too dangerous to stay buried? The cliffhanger was unbearable. King's fate hung by a thread. T.I. stood cornered, enemies circling like vultures. Tiny wept in silence, powerless to stop the storm. And the hackers promised one final drop, the kind that could burn the Harris dynasty to the ground. For now, the world could only wait. But one thing was certain. The whisper that started in a prison cell had grown into a scream loud enough to shake an empire. And no one, not even the King of the South himself, could silence it. And now the world is holding its breath. King Harris's blood still stains the prison floor. The whisper has exposed debts and betrayals too deep to ignore. And the Harris empire teeters on the edge of total destruction. T.I. has gone from king to desperate father. Tiny is broken. And hackers are promising one more nuclear drop, sealed receipts that could end everything. This is no longer just a story. This is a cultural earthquake. And every second that passes, the ground shakes harder. The next leak could arrive any moment. A video? A court file? A secret message that flips the entire saga upside down. And when it drops, you're either in the front row, you're left scrambling while the internet roasts you for being the last to know. So here's what you need to do. Smash that like button right now because every click helps us keep digging, keep uncovering the receipts, and keep exposing the truths that the system once buried. Hit subscribe and turn on all notifications, because the next update could drop in the middle of the night. And trust me, you do not want to miss it. And get in the comments. Do you believe King was caught in his father's war? Was this payback corruption? Or something even darker? Who do you think the hackers are about to expose? Drop your theories below because the debate is already on fire and your voice matters. This isn't gossip anymore. This is survival. And you're watching history collapse in real time.